I had to be taken to the hospital. I ended up in the ICU for about 4 days there. And at the time where I thought I just can't hang on any longer, I'd been trying to breathe at this point for about 12 hours and I was exhausted. I had this out of body experience. My physical body was starting to function better. Each time I would come back into the reality of the ICU, I would notice that I was actually feeling better. And the doctor came in and said, "What are you doing? Are you meditating?" And I said, "Well, sort of. It's more like a prayer." There was a very spiritual quality to this experience. And he said, "Well, keep doing it because it's saving your life."
What if the best chapter of your life hasn't even begun yet? What lies within you is the power to live brighter, bolder, and truer than ever before. So welcome to Vivatude, where caregiving, connections, and career come into balance, and where your vitality, vision, and voice shines through. Because the revolution isn't out there, it's already within you. Welcome to Vivatude.
Have you ever had one of those days? A day when a small trigger hits way harder than it should. Like all of the emotions you've been holding suddenly burst through the seams. For so many women in midlife, emotions don't just come and go. They stack. They linger. They can leave us with exhaustion, irritability, anxiety, or a heavy feeling of, I can't keep holding all this, even when life looks fine on the outside. And when emotions stay unprocessed, they don't just affect our mood, they can show up in the body and in our relationships, in how we parent, and in the way we respond to stress and change. Today's conversation explores a different way to work with those emotions, not by suppressing them or pushing through, but by transforming them from the inside out in a way that may seem counterintuitive to what we've been taught. My guest today is Laurie Heusinger, and she is the creator of the Toggle Effect, a practical tool for emotional healing and transformation. It's a method that helps you untangle emotional patterns, release internal tension, and move towards greater well-being. And whether you're using this for yourself, supporting a child or a loved one, or even professionally, we will talk about how this approach evolved, why certain emotions can feel stuck or repetitive, and how integrating our emotions can create surprising transformation and help us feel so much better physically, mentally, and spiritually. So, Laurie, welcome. Let's start here. What led you to develop this method, and when did you realize that it was unresolved emotions that were at the core of so many of people's struggles?
Good question. I suffered from very acute asthma for many years and was in my adulthood trying to raise a family with the condition, which I had four pretty serious attacks every day. I would cough for about 7 hours a night. And this is while I was on medications. The doctors would say, "We're doing the best we can. Maybe you should look for an alternative." I got into some alternative stuff. I didn't get the relief I was looking for. But at one point, I caught a cold and I got very, very sick. I had to be taken to the hospital. I ended up in the ICU for about 4 days there. But while I was there, I had an out-of-body experience. And at the time where I thought I just can't hang on any longer, I'd been trying to breathe at this point for about 12 hours and I was exhausted. I had four little children at home. I remember closing my eyes. I remember thinking, okay, I can't do this anymore. And I really had this out of body experience. And as I had this out of body experience, my physical body was starting to function better. each time I would come back into the reality of the ICU or the emergency room, I would notice that I was actually feeling better. And the doctor came in and said, "What are you doing? Are you meditating?" And I said, "Well, sort of. It's more like a prayer." There was a very spiritual quality to this experience. And he said, "Well, keep doing it because it's saving your life." So I would be in and out of this state for about the better part of those 3 or 4 days in the ICU. And then, but as I came back each time, something had happened in my mind. When I came out, I almost felt as if I had a brain transplant. And I noticed that my physical condition went through this radical change. And that sustained itself for about 2 months. I was like in a state of Zen, Buddha. Nothing was really bothering me. And the asthma condition was gone for the first time in 20 years. And then somebody said something that agitated me. And I kind of moved out, and then I got a little bit angry. And then this flare up happened, and I was back on all my medication within a half hour. So that taught me that there was a connection between my mind, my emotions, and my condition. And I went into the study of alternative medicine looking for more of that connection. Actually, I started off going to med school, but when I spoke to a woman who was doing her PhD on psychoneuroimmunology, which Deepak Chopra was really talking about at the time, which is that mind-body connection,
Hmm.
she said, don't continue with med school. Go to this other alternative medicine school. That's going to be better suited for what you're looking for. And so I applied and I went, and they skirted around the emotional system that I wanted to look at. We had different ways of being able to calm the emotional system, but I never got to that real point I was looking for, that shift. And so I opened up my practice. I continued researching anything that would connect the emotions to the body. I really dove into. During that time, homeopathy was in my focus. And homeopathy is interesting because you have remedies that, for a very simplistic description, coffee causes you agitation. If you have agitation, you can take a remedy made from the coffee. So that which causes the problem then is a remedy to cure the problem. And that will relax you and help you to sleep. So there's this interesting thing within homeopathy that which causes the problem cures the problem. So I'm taking a break. We had had the clinic open for a few years. It was Christmas time. My partner and I went to go shoot a game of pool, and I went to take a shot, and this person across the room stops to watch me. And immediately the self-consciousness comes up. And I was just going, I've studied this emotional system for so long, and yet I can be stopped in my tracks because somebody across the room stopped to look at me.
Hmm.
And then I closed my eyes and I said something really interesting. I don't even know where the question came from, but I was like, what if self-consciousness is its own cure?
Hmm.
And then I closed my eyes and I focused completely on the feeling. And I noticed it was almost like stuff in front of me. If you take your mind away from the problem and go right to the emotion, it presents itself. It's like sometimes there's color, sometimes there's shape, sometimes it's texture, but it was right there in front of me. And then I went, I'm pulling you in. And I just drew it into the center of my mind. It got more and more intense, and then it went flip. And I was a little disoriented. And I went ahead and won the next 5 games of the pool game. And I had to really contemplate that. So that was the beginning of discovering the polarity of the stuff the emotions are made of.
I
And
love that.
after that, yeah,
Go ahead.
after that, I worked on some guilt. A few days later, I was presented with a situation that brought up old guilt for me. And I went, oh, I wonder if that thing that I did the other day would work. And I went, okay. And I thought about things that would make me feel guilty. And the guilt came up. And then I focused. I was like, okay, guilt, I see you. And then I pulled it in, pulled it in, pulled it in. At the time, I was also cooking some soup. And it felt like I got zoomed into my body after that particular shift. And there was a noticeable improvement in all of my respiratory condition that just continued after that. So that showed me that it was also connected to physical conditions.
So fascinating what I'm hearing so far. I'm going to do my best to try to put this in layman's terms. So what I'm hearing is you had an out-of-body experience and the doctors were able to see measurable results in your physiology. You experienced relief from symptoms that nobody was able to treat. The doctors had tried everything. And so you knew that there was something, it was more of a spiritual mind-body connection. And then the awareness of something that angered you and the symptoms coming back kind of solidified that, right? It's like I was feeling good and then this thing happened and now my symptoms are back. So that led you on a quest. And then the field of homeopathy, which basically is that the cure is in it, there's something connected to the vibration of the symptom itself, right? Whatever that is, it's connected. And so that led you to explore more of the emotions. I guess where I'm going with this for people who are just hearing this for the first time is what we don't think about is that the difficult emotions, the challenging emotions, the things that are causing us grief that we try to push away. What you're saying is instead of pushing that away, we can learn to bring that more into our experience. And we're going to go deeper into what your toggle effect is and how that technique works. But that is the key to the cure and the transformation. Am I saying that right?
Say that's a pretty good summary of exactly what I'm saying. Yes.
It's so profound, and again, it's counterintuitive. So we're going to take a little break and come back, and I want to hear much more about what you've learned about emotions and maybe share some stories, some techniques, some things that our listeners can apply and make sense out of, because this is so important for so many people, whether for our own healing or if we're working with people who are emotionally struggling, right?
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Well, stay tuned.
Absolutely.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back with Laurie Heusinger. I'm Lauren Archer, your host.
And thanks for listening to Vivatude. 4 hosts, 1 each week. We help you revivitude your next chapter because purpose, passion, and prosperity isn't out there. They're already within you. Brighter, bolder, truer. Vivatude.